We're here. We're late. We're here. This is a View from the Bridge, official podcast of the Belfast Giants for kingdomofthegiants.com. Today's Wednesday, the 1st of November, 2022. Wyclif's back. My name is Patrick Smith. That's a joke I love to make every year. It's either that or something about All Saints.
Most of the people watching, Paddy.
That or something about All Saints. No, never ever. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. You can also download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor FM, and load more of your normal podcast providers. On this week's show, 3 single goal victories for your Belfast Giants at a 6-point weekend. We'll get to the games in a bit. Mark Garside had a big milestone on Sunday afternoon. He's our guest on the fan agenda coming right up. And we have news from Dops and around the league. We'll read the 4 names for October's Player of the Month, sponsored by Funnercab. And we'll have a quick look at the week ahead. Mr. Majimsey, you well? Can't hear you, mate. Do you switch your mic off?
Uh-oh.
Just be patient.
There he is. How you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah. I'm having a few technical problems today. I've just realised my age.
Is that because we were giving you grief?
Technical issues? Yeah. Everything's switched off. So,
and speaking of age, how are you doing, Joel?
Hey now, Paddy, I was just about to compliment you on your really lovely hoodie tonight. I think you look so good tonight.
It's mate,
maybe not so much, but
the fashion choices we have for this show are remarkable.
Having a very great night.
Let's get cracking into this show, boys. And because we're starting later as we are, we're going to crack on with the fan agenda, but brought to you by our good friends at Belfast Giants TV. And we're joined by a man who made a major milestone on Sunday afternoon.
I don't know what the Dow Jones means. All I want's a late night, chips, cheese and beans, and I'm a long way from anyone who cares. I don't know what'll happen if the footsie drops, but it was 90p dings last night at the box, and I'm a long way from anyone who cares. Well, it could mean disaster, but I'll just be plastered somewhere. And if it's a disaster that cannot be mastered, I don't care. I have nothing to lose, no reason to despair. Stock market's crash. I know that Mexican wine will burn your ass, and I'm a long way from anyone who cares. I don't know what'll happen if I get this sack. Oh dear mother, won't you take me back? And I'm a long way from anyone who cares. Well, it could mean disaster, but I'll just be plastered somewhere. And if it's a disaster that cannot be mastered, I don't care. I have nothing to lose, no reason to despair. Disaster, but I'll just be plastered somewhere. And if it's a disaster that cannot be mastered, I don't care. I have nothing to lose, no reason to despair.
Hey Sheds here. Just wanted to congratulate you on becoming the all-time Giants games played leader. It's quite amazing that your body's actually lasted this long. Not only to play that many games, but even just to make it through life. But great job, buddy. Just in all seriousness, though, congratulations. You've been a true warrior and a Giant that everyone will look up to in the future. I think when you think of the Giants, you're a player that shows longevity and commitment. Settled here in Belfast with a beautiful family, and it's great to see you achieve that milestone. So I want to wish you all the best for the rest of the season. Hopefully you've got many more years left in Teal. So congratulations again, buddy.
The all-time leader in appearances for your Belfast Giants, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Garside.
Yes, mate. Yes, mate.
Oh,
Congratulations on reaching it to this milestone.
thanks. It's been a long time coming, right?
What you know, joking aside, what does a milestone like that mean to a player like yourself?
I don't really know. I guess when you first sort of arrive in a place like I did when I was 21, it would have been a million miles away from my thinking, you know. But I guess as you get older, it's just a sort of nice feeling at the end, you know. You don't really think about it too much, and all of a sudden it happened on Sunday night, you know. So it was kind of like I knew it was coming up. I just didn't know when, because you know nobody can count up games except from Dave. So so
I was going to say,
it was just like sort of pleasing, and it was also nice just to get the family on the ice and celebrate and stuff as well.
yeah, I was going to say, this is you're on the ice with your family. It's something you can share with them, and when you look back in your career with the Giants, it is something, you know, a picture you can put on the mantelpiece.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I think I told somebody else the other day. When you're young, you don't really realize what it's like when you start taking your kids on the ice when they're young, and like they absolutely love going out there and doing it all. And maybe they don't understand right now like the meaning of it, but it's definitely a special feeling when you go out there and you're able to take him around and wave at everybody, and you know that's something they'll probably never forget.
Like you talk, Gary, about you know, the 21-year-old version of yourself and when you came here and stuff, and not even having like milestones like this. This is a big deal, but not having milestones like this in your head. And now, you know, you're settled in Belfast, you have family, lovely family of 3, new one just arrived, and like trophies galore. You've won pretty much the lot. It must be something that you'll look back on in years to come, hopefully. Not a lot more games played, but with great pride.
Definitely. And you know, it's hard to describe some of the feelings, you know, as you're playing that video. I'm almost like laughing at some of like just remembering, especially that night, the first one, the league against Sheffield. That must have been 11 years ago now. That was such a good feeling, and obviously a few years later we won it with Paul AD, and then more recently we've won it twice. So it's the league, that is. So you know those nights are special. They'll always, you know, ask any player. They'll always remember that because it's a special time in your life, really. And we're very privileged to play for the Giants and experience those moments.
You know, I know people say you never forget your first, but like it's one of those. So many players referenced that game against, I think it was 5-1. We might have won. It was, but so many Jeff Mason references it. Kiefer has referenced it as like, give us the moment in your Giants careers, the sort of definitive moment if you look back in your career and remember. And so many guys, even though we won brilliantly under Paul, you know, we've won so much under Kiefer in the last number of years, and we've been really blessed as a club right from the 22 years of what we've won. But so many guys go back to that, not so much that one night, but perhaps that season that culminated in that great night. Great winning on home ice, of course. Yeah,
I mean, it was a pretty special game. I think looking back, I think we were under a lot of pressure to win that season, and I think we led for most of the season, but we just couldn't shake Sheffield off. You know, they had a really good team as well, and luckily it just kind of came down to those 2 games, and I mean we pummeled them that night. So, and we ended up winning 5-1 and winning the league. And it was just a really special moment. You know, like 4 years earlier, I'd been playing in Edinburgh. We came last. You know, so it's sort of like for me when I was that young, it was a bit of a development from sort of last to first. You know, and it was really special to feel that.
Sorry, Joel, just one
fine.
more before I go. And The one I don't know whether it's a disappointment for you or not, but one thing that we haven't done is we haven't converted all those championships into playoff successes. That we came so close.
I know.
And through that mid period of the 2010 to 2020, like we were hitting final after final and just not quite getting across the line. I can't remember, Paddy, if it was Doug Christensen or Paul Adey who described a collective exhale, sort of when you win the league so easy sometimes. It's kind of like you've got 10 games and it's like you're sort of by the time the playoffs come around, you've kind of lost that momentum you had.
Yeah, it's definitely, the league is so stressful, especially, I actually felt it more last year than any of the other years, but like, obviously we were in a title race with Sheffield, so the kind of release of pressure after we won, and probably for them too, we played pretty poorly in the playoffs against Coventry and we were lucky to get through it. And they obviously lost against Dundee. And I think it's just like all of a sudden it's over and you kind of just lose a lot of energy right after it. But for us, fortunately, we won and it was like a real euphoric sort of moment. But I think we kind of like struggled to get back up to the level that we were playing at the week after. I think in the finals, we were just like, the final is one game and I think we've lost. When I've played, we've lost 2 of them in overtime, 1 by 1 goal. And then last season, they were just clinical against us. And then as the game went on, we just took more chances going forward and they scored.
Yeah.
But it is the one thing that's kind of annoying that we haven't won. And it's one thing that I'll definitely be aiming to do this season, obviously.
Give me a chance to talk about the 2011-12 season. You know I'm going to take it. You talked there for a minute about pressure on us to win that season. I think that's an understatement. We had lost the league by a single point the year before. And then we, in one of the ballsiest moves of all time, this must have been a Todd Kelman idea, but the hashtag that we ran with on socials and it was on t-shirts from the start of that season was hashtag this is the year. I mean, to come out with that in like August, September with and it was a fairly new team as well. There was a lot of turnover that season. Was there ever any sort of discomfort in the room about the league or about the team pumping that as a hashtag all season long?
Do you know what? I can't remember there being that much gripe about it or anything, like guys just sort of took it on board. And I remember we had quite like of all the teams we played on, that was definitely the one with the most competitive characters in it. I would say the full team was a bunch of angry little men.
Even John Pelly.
Oh yeah, guys like Darryl Lloyd and Kiefer, and we had a few other bits, like some skill guys on the team too, but they were also angry. So it was like an absolute battle that season. And I think for a lot, if you looked at the squads of other teams, they definitely, I think, especially Nottingham at the time, they had like a really good roster. Yeah. Sheffield always had a good roster. So it was a bit of a battle to stay on top of all those teams, and unfortunately for us, it worked out well. I think our competitiveness definitely helped that, and Doug as well. He's a competitive coach. He pushed that competition, like that sort of attitude that we had, and fortunately, it turned out for the best.
If I can step back just a second, Gary, Davey mentioned it right at the start there. You have obviously welcomed your third child into the world, you and Becky. I'm right in saying a little daughter, yeah.
That's right.
And massive congrats for absolutely fantastic news. If you don't mind us asking, how is everything? Everything okay? And is she behaving herself?
Yeah, so she's been a good baby. She's been good at Mellow. She's feeding a lot now and stuff. So obviously she had a bit of a rough start. But since we've got her home, she's been really good. She's just been feeding and doing what newborns do.
Which is not very much apart from 2 things.
Eating and sleeping. Find
out about yourself.
Yeah, can't wait.
Coming your way, mate.
That's why I'm asking. I'm just trying to gather some notes ahead of the big day. You sort of said it earlier, but do you think that, obviously not the new Baba, but do you think that your kids have any sort of sense of what daddy does for a job and that it's not that normal? Or is it something that you think they just have always been around and it's just normal to them?
I think as time goes by, my older son definitely understands that it's not exactly a common job. Like daddy goes and he thinks it's really cool to come and watch and stuff. I tried to get him to play actually, but he wasn't really that interested.
Smart kid.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let's stay in school. That's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He loves coming and watching. Sunday games, he tend to go down. My younger son, he still gets mad at me for going away at the weekend. Daddy, why are you going away? Let's play hockey. He's like, oh.
And that's also a fair gripe, to be fair to him. And just last for me, Paddy, sorry. Gary, whenever you sort of, some amazing video clips there from your first season in Belfast with Doug Christensen, in that season where we lost the league by a point, and even older ones from Edinburgh and whatever else. It sort of drives home that your career, it's been fairly long at this point. Do you still get that buzz from coming to the rink every day, sharing the room and the bus and the boat with the boys, and playing every night?
Absolutely. I mean, like, if it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't play, because obviously in this league, nobody's getting paid that much,
Yeah.
So, but I think a big part of playing professional sports is especially team sports, is the camaraderie, the training, and going away with the boys, and essentially, I want to say having a good time, but like being part of a team is quite a special thing. I think it's quite a unique thing to do. And as you get older, you realise what a sort of privileged position you're in, and you actually, I think over the last 5 years, I've enjoyed playing hockey a lot more than I did at the start. Like when you're young, you're obviously really competitive and you constantly try to drive yourself and stuff. Whereas now I'm kind of mellowed out, and I kind of enjoy it much more.
There's a picture from Sunday, and what's in the box?
Giant's gin, my guy.
Nothing anymore.
No, it's a bottle of gin.
Oh, nice. Are you a gin drinker?
I'll drink.
You are now.
If it's in my house, it's getting drank. It doesn't really matter.
Yes, we've a similar approach. Yeah. Just quickly before I move on to a couple of questions today, we've one in there from Yvette McLean, who's over in Pittsburgh with Ethan outside. They're watching outside the PPG Arena, the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, on the way to see a Pens game. I think Ethan saw Sidney Crosby earlier today, or yesterday, was it? Yeah, it's another meeting with Sid the Kid. But he's saying Mark Garside's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. Big shout out to those guys over in Pittsburgh. And it's one of those, Mark, you've been with the organization for 628 games now. But it's, and we've spoke obviously earlier in the season about the sad loss of Jim Gillespie, but the ethos that's brought to this organization, and something that you've felt and you've been part of for so long, it does set it aside.
Definitely. I mean, as soon as you come here, all of you guys are pretty well versed right at the start when they get here about the importance of the team to the city and the history of the city, and what it means to a lot of people around town. It's the one place I sit and say in years gone by where both sides of the community could come together and share a space and cheer for something in common. It's also very important. They do a lot of other things like going into schools and doing all these other social development type programs and stuff like that, which is, they're very heavily involved in the community of the Giants, and it's quite a special thing to be a part of.
Going to Twitter, a question here from Alan Brett, just basically saying congratulations on the 628. And are there any personal targets you set yourself each season?
Survival.
Yeah, don't smash everything.
Yeah. No, I don't really set targets in terms of numbers. Obviously, as a defenseman now, like, numbers are as important as playing to the sort of defensive system and things like that. So in terms of that, just try and do your job properly every night. And in terms of like more games played or anything, I'm just going to play as long as I enjoy it. I think, as long as I can feel like I'm contributing what I can to the team, I think I'll always enjoy it. And that's just how I feel about it, really.
From a point of view of longevity, how much of a contribution did the switch for the D have to that?
Probably quite a lot, because I think when I dislocated my shoulder the second time, it kind of affected a lot in terms of I'd done it after I had surgery, so it completely messed my shoulder up, and I couldn't really do a lot of things I was doing before. And so I put a season and a half where I had to like rejig my game a little bit, and think about doing things differently. And I think playing D and moving back to D probably helped that a lot, because I couldn't really shoot the puck as hard anymore and like that. So it was quite even when I played with Doug, he really emphasised the defensive side of the game for me, playing with Lauder and Kiefer, because they were away trying to kill people most of the game. So
you were the glue on that line. The glue.
Although it seems like he just moved back and it was like that, the kind of mindset was already there for me to go and play D, I think. So I do think it's probably prolonged my career by quite a bit. I think if I kept playing forward, I might have either moved down a level or maybe just got an actual job or something, because I felt like as a forward, not being able to shoot is it's not very good. Confidence after a while, it's not as enjoyable, because like what you could have done a couple of years ago, and now it's kind of impossible for you. But I do think moving back to D, think about the game differently. You can contribute in a different way. I do think that's made me enjoy the game again.
When you drop back, were there any other D-men like on the team at that time you were learning from, like Calvin Elfring or guys like that who would sort of carry along to say, this is you've played up front for so long in your season. Actually, what you need to do is this. Was there a teaching process in there? Probably,
I'd say there was. Yeah, I mean, Wally was the coach at the time, and he helped me quite a bit. I went out with the first sort of 10 games was probably I played with him. And I just passed him the puck most of the time, and I ended up with like 10 points in 10 games, just passing him the puck. But I think Jimbo came in that year as well, Jim Vandermeer, and he was really good. He probably didn't even realize it at the time, just telling me like small things. And then I'm still going away with GB and playing D with Great Britain too. They always have good assistant coaches there, like Corey Nielsen and Chuck Webber and stuff, I think was there. They were really good at showing you stuff on video and things. It's just so I think a lot of little things like that really helped.
For my money, that's sorry, David, go ahead.
No, well, I was going to go on to the GB one. Like for someone who played their trade so long and so good in the face-off circle, but played as a forward and dropped back to D and still got selected in the national program as a D man, you must be pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I think when I started playing D, I kind of had a bit of an uptick in confidence, because I found a new way to sort of contribute to the team's success, So I was quite happy to go back there, and it kind of like just made a bit of a cycle of me trying to play better and doing that job better. And I think that really helped me get into the GB team. And obviously, I've always been able to skate pretty well as well, so that probably helped a lot.
Sorry,
No, sorry, I was jumping on the back of just what you were talking about there, because you're talking about learning experiences from the veterans that have come through, guys like Jim Vandermeer, Calvin Elfring, whatever else. Do you get a sense now, Gary, because I certainly do, and I'm not the only one, I know this, do you get a sense that you are now that to the younger players coming in? I'm thinking specifically of Jeff Baum. I think that there was a real blossom in Bomber's game in that first season playing alongside you. Do you now feel a sense of that role reversal?
I think sometimes it is like guys do come to me and ask me, especially about our system, because I'd say it's probably relatively new how aggressive we play defensively. And so a lot of guys haven't played in that kind of system before. They'll sort of ask me about stuff. And I know with Bomber last year, it was just a case of, I only really remember having one conversation with him, and it was just about like the mindset of being aggressive. Like whenever we are on the ice, just we're on a rope, we're never too far away from each other. And if one of us goes and pushes or closes somebody down, the other one has to go, Yeah. And so, like, I think after that, we played really well together, and I think we played well together this season as well. So, no, I think when guys do come and ask stuff, I do try and help them out as much as I can.
We're going to wrap it up in a second, but Davey, you sent me this to share. Is this is this following on from last week?
This is following on from last week, and some of these are savage.
Are these your NHL numbers? Oh,
these are the NHL.
Whoever thought a man from East Kilbride would end up on Chell? Life is weird, man.
Achievement here, I think.
I'm not sure what Chell means, but
84 kilograms. Is that accurate?
Oh,
that seems heavy.
That's a bit heavy.
Let me see. Slap shot accuracy 65, wrist power 75.
Probably the high.
Slap shot power 75. After what you've just said about losing the edge on your
That's
shooting,
probably lower than the wrist shot power. That's for sure.
72 on the draw, I think, is a fair assessment. That's decent.
No, that's good. Yeah, I'll take that.
Have you had the same question throughout last week? Have you had a chance to play as yourself in these games?
No, I don't really play NHL on the. I've only got Nintendo Switch, and I'm a FIFA guy.
Respect.
Yeah,
fair enough.
If I was in a video game, I'd be playing as myself. I mean, do you know what I mean? But fair play.
Before we wrap it up, obviously, tough week last week with the 3 games against Scottish opposition, 1 goal wins in all of those, and then we've got this week back against the Clan and the Devils in town. How do you feel this season's going?
I feel it's going relatively well. I think at the start of every season, we never seem to sort of fly out the blocks almost, but we've definitely, without scoring a lot right now, I think we're lacking a bit of confidence going forward, but we are good defensively. You're saying like 3 1-goal wins, a win's a win right now, and
yep.
I think guys are pretty committed to playing good on the defensive side of the puck. So that'll hopefully buy us time for the forwards to get a bit of confidence going forward, and we can try and score a bit more. But so far, so good, I think.
You've talked about, sorry, Paddy, before you go there, you've talked about the stress of a long league season, and and we say often about how important points in September, October, November are, and how they are as important as they are, and winning ugly at the minute is kind of, I suppose, what we're doing. And couple of, somebody called them a snooze fest that they are there. There weren't great games that watch over the last week, but we've came out on the right side of all 3 results. So I think that's the important bit. Somebody's going to get gubbed soon. Somebody's going to absolutely get the slipper here one of these weeks, because all these guys that just aren't scoring they're going to have to, their CVs tell you that they are going to score goals. So, they haven't become bad players or anything. They're just not we're getting opportunities, like season high in shots on goal. I think we're nearly 100 shots on and off against Clan. You come up against a goaltender that just refuses to be beaten sometimes. And fortunately, we got one past them and got the win. And, at the other end, as you say, defensively, we haven't conceded. So, we've done their job. As Roy Keane would say, you've done your job. And, we've came away with 6 points out of 6, so we can't really complain. Everybody, the next steps to win by 2, 3, 4, 5, so it'll come.
Yeah, I think we just kind of have to be patient. So long as we're getting those wins, as long as we are tight defensively, we haven't been giving away a lot of shots or anything like that. The weekend before we were in Cardiff, and we kind of did blow them away in the first period almost. That's kind of what won us the game there. So I think going forward, if we can get a little bit of confidence and we can keep the kind of defensive solidity, I think we'll be good.
Fantastic. Well, Mark, listen, 628 and counting.
Yep.
Congratulations on passing that milestone. Thank you for sharing your time with us and joining us, and we look forward to chatting to you later in the season.
No problem. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks, you, man.
Big thanks to Mark Garside for sharing his time. That's a fantastic milestone for him to reach. And like I say, 628 and counting for the man from East Kilbride. It's fantastic for him and fantastic for the Belfast Giants. And great work there, Davey, and a nice message there from Sheds.
I love a bit of Mark Garside music. I know I say to him all the time, when's the album coming out? And he says in the next 10 years, and he always says in the next 10 years. So if there's a new album, it's just that kind of indie folky guitar music is just in my sweet spot. Like that Disaster song, like I was listening to them all earlier on when I was putting that wee video together, Fat and Moment in Time and all. If you haven't listened to Mark Garside music, followers out there, go check him out on SoundCloud. It's absolutely superb.
Favorite Mark Garside song? There. It's Working Outside. It's Working Outside, obviously.
What's that?
It's what?
Favorite Mark Garside song? It's Working Outside. It's clearly.
Oh, very good. We're going to get to the games in just a second. Unfortunately, once again, we have to start with some sad news that it was announced earlier today on the sad passing of I was going to say Cardiff Devils player, manager, coach, dog's body, commentator, everything. Brent Pope, sadly, after an 8-month battle with cancer, Davey. And more sad news for a guy who wore some incredible hats, but was such an integral part of the Cardiff Devils organization.
Yeah, I get goosebumps sometimes when you think about things like this. Like, he came to this country, he played for so many. He played for London, he played for Panthers, he had spells in like Sheffield lower teams. He had obviously the Cardiff ENL team, Basingstoke. I'm trying to think, London Racers. He played for them all, and obviously most well known and associated with the Cardiff Devils. And there's Paxton getting to know the Pope earlier, and we can only sympathise with his close family circle and friends, and our Cardiff Devils friends that know and loved him. And as you said, he was the Jackie Moon before Todd Kelman came along and took all those roles on. He was the GM, he was the team consultant, he was the manager, he was the coach, he was the player. He done it all. He lived and breathed that team. He loved it. Things didn't always go according to plan in Cardiff, and sports is sports, and sometimes you can outstay your welcome at times and things. But I would say, nostalgia also wraps its arms around you over time, and the things that didn't work out so well get forgotten because there's so many good things that he did at that club, and his heart was in the right place when it came to Cardiff Devils. He loved that club, and he wore that badge with great pride and great honor. And it's a shame to say that he's no longer there. He is with another great hat. These are the things that I was saying on Twitter earlier on. He's left us with so many memories that make you smile. If you ask me for Brent Pope memories, it wouldn't be negative stuff that happened. It would be things like that, wearing a Dickie Bow and a Stetson on the bench, or wearing those little silly small hats that he wore. So a great character. I think Joel had said earlier on Twitter there, a great character. And there's been so many great characters in this great sport that we love. And Brent Pope, we salute you.
Absolutely, Joel.
Yeah, I can't add much more to just a really lovely eulogy from Davey there, to be honest. I feel like we're doing this a lot, boys, and it kills me. It just breaks my heart that we seem to be losing a lot of friends and a lot of faces that we've all kind of grown up watching or kind of watched do their thing. Brent Pope was one of the kind of characters from the earlier years of me following hockey here, and sometimes the panto villain, but but that to me is all part of this wild, crazy circus that we all love, and it wouldn't be what it is without those villains and without those characters, and someone who was unashamedly himself. And I don't know that you can ask for much more than that in life.
You're here, a man who, like I say, after his hockey career, both on and off the ice, went into commentary, and you'd hear him on many of the Olympics commentary we've seen messages on Twitter from the likes of our friend Aaron Murphy and Bob Ballard and guys on the BBC and beyond who worked with Brent. And I just echo what you gents say. Our condolences go to his family, his friends, and to those at the Cardiff Devils organizations and fans who knew Brent, and we may rest in peace, and we send our best wishes to them. Okay, let's get stuck in to the games that took place in the last week. We've had 3 games in the last week, and we'll rattle through these, boys, because I kind of agree with Joel's sentiment earlier that Davey mentioned.
Listen, there were no names attached to that.
There is now. We'll start with the 3. We'll start with a 3-2 win for the Belfast Giants that took place last Wednesday at the SSE Arena. Foley, Bast, and Lake was credited with the shootout winner for the Belfast Giants, while for the Stars on the power play, it's okay. Twice. It's okay. I was dying for some sort of it's okay. Once he scored for Shiz to go, it's okay. Terrible joke, but it's what I wanted. Never came.
Fair play,
with regards to the goalies, Peyton Jones in nets for the Belfast Giants, 23 shots against, 2 goals against, and Anton Svensson, 45 shots against, 2 goals against, 3 in the shootout. Pavel Hallis and Andrew Dalton were your referees. Davey, one of those sort of cat and mouse games where the Stars refused to go away, but the fact that the power play goals were there, 5-on-5, the Giants were on top, and the Stars needed those power play goals to try to get back into it.
Yeah, almost 4,000 in the building on a Wednesday night, Paddy. Great crowd, and
Remarkable.
As you said there, the Dundee Stars have got this sort of stickability, new goaltender in between the pipes, and they just didn't want to go away. And we talked to Mark Garside there earlier about the, not the lack of scoring, certainly not the lack of scoring opportunities, but the lack of maybe putting it between the pipes from the top 9, if you like, forwards, and they're 10 or 11 forwards really. But we got 2 goals from the blue line, which is always a positive as well. And the first goal, especially, I think you'll probably have to zoom through these, Paddy, because I think there's about 10 minutes of highlights here, and people are looking to go to bed. But it's
not if they're watching it in the afternoon, mate.
If they watch this, they might go to bed quicker. That lovely pass across the blue line from Goody and Matt Foley coming in and putting it right across the goalie and just in off the far post set us off. And we thought we were going to go ahead there. Probably, you sometimes think if you can just get 1 or 2 behind the Stars, if you get that second goal quickly, if you get that third goal, you sometimes can run away from them. But they just stuck in and they got that early goal in the second period then, and it just went cat and mouse, and obviously ended up overtime, no winner. And it was a bit of a chippy game as well. I think there was the guys took a bit of an exception to a hit on David Goodwin. I think it was there. It is actually on the boards, and Coops isn't one for shying away from any of the tough stuff and says, right, come on, try and pull those gloves off that are glued on. So, obviously ends in a bit of falling over. But, that Stars games have been a wee bit chippy this season as well. And obviously, they hung about and it went to overtime, penalty shots, and Peyton Jones and a couple of good penalty shots. I think Chad Butcher came up with am I right or wrong? Or Paddy? I
think you're right, yeah.
Colby McCauley, I can't remember now, just off the top of my head, maybe been Chad Butcher, come up with a lovely one into the roof of the net, and there's a penalty shot call. But look, I thought the Belfast Giants were good for the win. 5-on-5, as you've said already. The Stars obviously scored on a couple of power play opportunities that they got, and we can make the penalty kill work for us. But happy enough with the 2 points and thought it was well deserved.
Joel, the Stars, we're going to play them again and again and again. And it's just what we're trying to see from this Giants side is, and we'll talk about this actually in the games to come, is sort of a level of scoring coming down the lines. It doesn't seem to be coming yet.
Yeah, I think it's telling though what Gary said earlier, and it's a very fair point that defensively, we are sound. I think defensively, night by night, we're doing enough to give the forwards the chance to go out and win. And that's fine. Like that doesn't point me towards a team that's fundamentally flawed. It points me towards a team that's just a little bit snake bitten in front of goal right now. I think with this Scottish triple as well, obviously we'll talk about the other games. But a bit of an unspoken factor is that we actually played, I think, 3 very good goaltenders over the past week, and in all 3 of them, I think Svensson was excellent, particularly in that first period. I think he held us at bay a couple of times. There were a couple of big chances. I think he Goody. It was Goody really early on, point blank one-timer, and Svensson dropped the pad to it. And I think he got in the way of Sawyer and David Gilbert in the zone. So like he played a blinder. I thought he was very, very good. We are, for my money anyway, a little snake bitten in terms of creating those opportunities, creating those chances. I think it was Will Cullen in the Beltel this week talked about, look, we're aware of it. It's going to come. Like it's coming. We're putting the work in. The team on the back end is doing what they need to do. Kiefer said in a post-game interview, and he was a little frustrated after that Guildford loss a few weeks ago, that if you're not going to be putting the puck in the net, you need to be doing things right at the back. And I think we are doing things right at the back. So I say don't panic. I say the goals will come. I think that we have more than enough talent in that lineup to start contributing. I think it's interesting as well. Mark Cooper, obviously, to me, was the talisman on the second line last year. And obviously losing JJ Pekinich and bumping Coop up to that top line, you sort of lose what was a top liner playing on line 2. And maybe just need someone to take the second line by the scruff and to give it a bit of offensive spark. And I think that we're stacked with guys like even Derek Angeli, who's obviously coming back from injury, who I would maybe begin to contribute, in terms of points, and he'll obviously help himself. But I'm certainly not, the sky's certainly not falling on me after a week of sort of frigid games in front of, I think, 3 good goalies.
Can I race us ahead here and have a chat about the Naslund incident that took place Let's see if I can just share this to the end, and that should do it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's gone to Dops, and he's received a suspension for 3 games due to the kneeing incident that took place with Scott Conway, Davey.
Yeah, there's not an awful lot you can say about it. It's just a really horrible hit. You see here, obviously we're in slow motion, so you can't count 1, 2, 3, but there's like a good 3-second gap between Collins passes pretty much top of the circles here, I think. And there you go. He's just winding up. So just past the top of the circle, just more or less top of the circles. Nazalin's at the blue line. That's quite a distance to go there. He's hung the knee. He knows exactly what he's doing. He was smiling about it when he was going off. It's dirt. The thing about it just doesn't get any better. We're really fortunate. I'm sure Scott Conway is sore, no doubt about it. We're really fortunate he was able to go off, get a bit of treatment from the doctors, get back on for the rest of the game, because, you know, we'll talk about talisman and all, and Collins has been outstanding for us that season. There's no place for that in the game. People are talking, and I mentioned Seth Bennett from time to time because he always said about Dops, you know, never compare apples with oranges. Don't compare a hit to the head that gets 2 games with a knee and that gets 3 games. They both have to be looked at individually. That kind of hit, and we talked about this last year, and I'm not going to shirk away from when incidents happened. We talked about Ben Lake got suspended last year for not a similar hit, but for a knee hit, and people were on complaining, oh, well, Nazalin's getting 3, Lake only got 2. Lake got 3 out at the very start of a game for somebody that was going east to west, and Lake was going north to south. And I said at the time on the podcast, Laker, you got to know when to hold him, know when to fold him, and he should have not made that hit, and that's pretty much what Dops did. Naslin has no business making that hit. Naslin is lining him up there with a knee to a knee, and to me, and you don't know what Naslin's intentions are, but that looks like someone who's trying to take somebody out of the game, and that's just what it looks like to me. I may be wrong, but you know the evidence is just right in front of you. I think it's a bad hit. He's got to take his medicine. He was through out that game. They went on to lose the game, and he's missing 3 games. I think, was it 2 or 3 games from Dops?
3.
No place in the game for that whatsoever.
He gives a little wave on the way out there, good friend Michael Owens. And it's good that the 3 games came, Joel, that the windows of Dundee and Sweden are safe.
Well, listen, they're safe for now, Paddy. You know, I've made my feelings very clear on the windows of Dundee and the entire country of Sweden. So, you know, bleep around and find out. I've got it might be worth. Go ahead, Davey. You're not.
It's not even that he glides into the hit there. There's a definite just on impact. There's the left knee goes again to make sure
it's an intentional move.
There's no body to body. There's no intention to make any sort of play. I'm gonna go shoulder to chest. I'm gonna go shoulder to anything. He's gone straight to the knee, and at the very last minute, when you look at it here, he extends again. So he doesn't just glide into it, but he changes direction at the very end and makes sure he takes him out.
If you have 30 seconds, boys, here's the black and white. You know, Dops say it's important to know that this plays directly in front of Naslin. He's in control of how any body contact is delivered. The onus is entirely on him to make a full legal body check or avoid the contact altogether. Can't be classified as a collision between 2 players where one or both move reactively or defensively at the last moment. Conway's no longer in possession of the puck and outside of the acceptable window, time frame and distance, where a player may still be considered eligible to be checked legally. Naslin approaches Conway in a wide skating stance, leaving his extended left knee out, and drives into Conway, resulting in a dangerous and direct knee-on-knee contact. I mean, that's as black and white as it gets for me.
Yeah, he receives 3 games. The Belfast Giants take the 2 points from the shootout win, and we move on. Highlights in that game, of course, from our good friends at Belfast Giants TV. And before we go on, the other fallout from that game was a very, very enjoyable appearance from keyboard Kyle Haas, which was very enjoyable on Twitter. A lot of tweets thrown out and tweets deleted. Listen, we've all had a few wobbly pops and put some stupid on Twitter. That's just what happens. Happened to Zach Fitzgerald as well. He did it once, and then he started deleting them as well. But yeah, interesting. Came on, started threatening that he was going to come and have some sort of boxing match at playoffs with fans and stuff. Very enjoyable. It's one of those enjoyable evenings on Twitter when ex-players come on and start acting the big man. Anyway. On we go to the game that took place over in Kirkcaldy against the Five Flyers. Another 1-goal win for your Belfast Giants, this time a 3-2 victory. 5 Flyers goals coming from Sherman and Hausinger. And for the Belfast Giants, Coops, Angeli back in the lineup, getting a goal. And Sam Rupp getting a short-handed goal with just under 2 minutes left on the clock. In goals, Shane Owen, 30 shots against, 3 goals against. And Peyton Jones, 23 shots against, 2 goals against. Toby Craig, and the best referee from the Northeast, as his mum told me, Steve Brown. Joel, an early mishap for the Giants and a tough enough fight, but it wasn't the most entertaining of the games.
No, it wasn't. I don't think anybody should call it a snooze fest. I think that's offensive.
Who would do such a thing, Joel?
I just think it's not in the spirit of the game, and you're just not a true fan if you're talking like that. But yeah, like I think Jonesy would want that back. We saw across the week what Peyton Jones is capable of. Look at that 4-save penalty shootout where he was a brick wall. He was outstanding. He maybe just has a little bit of an edge to his game at the minute, where he maybe lets in ones that he would rather not let in. Some of the kind of simpler shots that get by him. I still think Peyton Jones is an immensely talented goaltender. Really, really decent fella, and I think we're lucky to have him. As we go across the stretch of the season with him and Jackson Whistle in a tandem, that's a pair of goalies who can contend for championships. But he'll certainly want. I think he'd be the first to admit that first goal back. Yeah, this was a game for me that was a lot of shots, a lot of possession, but again, just I think lacked that killer edge in front of goal. I think our persistence. Two things I took away from this game: our persistence paid off whenever Coops squared it up in the second period. That's just being persistent on goal and grinding away, working your system and knowing that it's coming. The other thing, apart from, I'm going to let your boys are more old school than me, so I'll let you talk about Will Collins sending a man to the shadow realm. But the end of the game, I think that's the kind of game where your game's on a knife edge. Chad Butcher takes that illegal equipment penalty, which was avoidable for losing the helmet. I felt the ice tilting away from us, and for Sam Rupp to find that shorty at 58-15 in that game on the road. That's championship character. That's the championship character that we've seen from this team since Adam Keefe took the reins, and it's still in this team. I count us out at your absolute peril at the minute. I think we'll come good in front of goal. But I want to hear you boys talk about that man evaporating under Will Collins' hip check.
Do you know what? It was. Sorry, I just come in before I go. It's one of those hip checks where you know that in the crowd, and even in the crowd, if it had happened the other way around at the SSE, there's going to be people going, and you do throw your hands up and arms at that. But it was just, for me, a fabulous hip check, a fabulous what they got him, Davey.
Oh, nicely timed. Things as the younger generation, like Joe would say, things you absolutely love to see. So yeah, we love to see a bit of physical play. You don't get the same level of fighting in the game anymore. You don't get the same level of open ice checks in the game anymore. So when they come along, they're very welcome. And it was certainly one of the highlights of the weekend. As Joe says, you've got as a coach, as fans, you try and find positives to take out of every game, and that sort of character that we've been shown over the last lot of weeks. Even in Guildford, we came away with a loss right to the last minute. We were battling we had opportunities in Guildford, even with the goalie pulled to score. And I think Scott Conway talked last week himself. He really felt he should have scored with seconds to go to equalise for us. And so obviously we came up with a really late goal to bring ourselves right back into it. So this team has got spades of character, and they go to the 60th minute. Now, we don't always play for 60 minutes, but we go to the 60th minute. And I think, again, I'm one for the stats and stuff. You go through the stats of this game, we more than deserve to win. One big positive, we've outshot them to 2+1. We've blocked 14 shots, so we've been defensively again. Talked about Mark Garside, talked about it in the Dundee Stars game. The goaltending and the defense, and the defense from all 5 on the ice at any one time, or 6 if you count the goaltender, is good enough to give us a chance to win every game. And there you go. There's that you're talking about. That's what gave us the chance to go on and win the game in the last couple of minutes, because we kept it so tight. And of course, the penalty for legal cutting goes against us, and we'll come up with a short-handed. And again, I think out of the 3, there's points from D-men and all 3 of the goals again. So, you're getting the defensive buy-in, and you're getting contributions on the scoring board from the blue line. the red line is going to ignite. There's no doubt about it that high quality CVs, and it's going to come.
Paddy, sorry, it's worth saying that regardless of that hit being as clean as a whistle, never want to see anybody injured, and I hope Sean Cameron's actually okay and back in the lineup ASAP. It was just a good, clean hockey hit, but I hope he hasn't suffered, any ill effects.
Fully agree. One comment I would just want to make myself before we move on to the game against Glasgow is that third period exchange of goals. Obviously, it's 1-1 going into the third period. The Giants take that. Angeli puts the Giants ahead with that goal in the last 10 minutes, and you're thinking, oh, there we go. It's been a tight enough matchup, and that's the goal's going to win it. Hausinger gets that equalizer with, what was it, just over 3 minutes left. Saying, oh no, where's this going? But for Sam Rupp to take that short-handed winner, it was phenomenal. It just, like you say, it's one of those winners that you think to yourself, actually, we do have a means to find a way to the back of the net. We do have means to find in these tough games to find a win. And I don't know who describes 3 snooze fests. It's ridiculous for anybody to say that, but
was that Angeli? That was Angeli's first, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not sure if
good to get on the scoreboard. You talking about Angeli earlier on there, and not that I think Mark Cooper deserves anything less than the ice time he's getting on that top line. To get Coops and Laker back together, I think would be absolutely fantastic. So if someone can come alive and go on that wing with Conway and Goodwin to allow Mark Cooper perhaps to go with Laker, because those two instant chemistry, the chemistry that they had last season. I love Coops on that top line. He's the guy that reverses into the blue paint there, and he creates so much space for Conway and Goodwin and does so many good things to allow them the space to play and do what they got to do. But, we just got to get that secondary and tertiary scoring. And I think Coops and Laker obviously had that. We talked about Bomber and Gary, and sometimes you go back to the well that that you're going to get water from. So it's just food for thought.
Yeah. The highlights of this game are available from our friends at Flyers TV. And we move on, gents, to the game that took place on Sunday, the 620th game for Mark Garside. And that was a victory against the Glasgow Clan. Let me just pull up the statistics here. I'm sort of behind in it. There we go. 1-0 victory for your Belfast Giants. The only goal coming in that with just over 10 minutes left from Will Cullen. In nets, it was a 19-shot shutout for Jackson Whistle, his second at home in a row. And John Muse, the other side, 55 shots against, 1 goal against. Pavel Hallis and Andrew Dalton were your referees in that game. Davey, I'm coming back to you. What can I say? I don't know.
John Muse could barely skate round on the lap, the clap.
He was a mess.
Fans.
He was a mess.
Although saying that, we had 19 shots on goal first period, 18 second period. They had 2 shots on Jackson first period, 4 shots second. So two things come out of that. Credit to Jackson Whistle for keeping his concentration, because probably cold, not getting that much rubber on you, you can go out of a game. Whereas Muse, we've warmed him up. I think Sis said in comedy, he was on comedy with Gareth Martin. I can't remember, was it Gareth Martin or not?
No, on Sunday it was Rayner.
Oh yes, of course, Kevin Rain, right. With Kevin Rain still out injured, unfortunately. Hopefully get well soon, Rayner. Get back in the lineup as soon as possible, man. We wish you well. It said about, I think Simon and Kevin had said about warming the goaltender up almost. We can be guilty sometimes of those high slot wrist shots just then, letting the goaltender get a bit of a feel. To talk about goalies in football getting a feel of the ball. Goalies and netminders in hockey want to feel that puck on their chest pad as well in the first couple of periods of the game. And we warm Muse up to a certain extent. We weren't coming up with massive amount of grade A's. And to be quite honest, there's a couple of opportunities the Clan had. Probably third period, they had certainly one in the back door that I think Matthew Wah has fed through the slot. And number 23 springs to mind. I can't remember his name. Just has to put it in, can't score. The game can flip, and you can be absolutely dominant. The Giants were absolutely dominant in this game. Make no mistake. This game, had it been 5-0, I don't think Dixon would have been all that disappointed. Well, I've been disappointed, obviously. They came with a very, very strict strategy of they were going to play like it was a 1-4 when the Belfast Giants were trying their control breakup. They're looking out at they've really maybe one man, not even really pressing that hard on the forecheck, and 4 stretched out across the center line. They're just going, right, will come at us. Very, very difficult to chip and chase and win that puck back in there. You're putting that deep into the ozone. You're having to go to work, and they're just chipping it out, and they're icing it, and they're just wearing you out. And it was third game and whatever, 5 days for the Giants, and it's hard to just keep going and going and going. But obviously we scored there. I think is that the one that's disallowed for the post being off, and then the nets were off. The nets were off before that, to be fair. But it's and then we'll come up with a couple of 5-on-3 wonder calls from Pavel Halas. Absolutely horrific calls, in my opinion. Happy to be judged otherwise. The call.
I thought he did the same. I thought it was the same on Wednesday against the Stars when we were giving them a couple of
the call for me on Swayze 2+2 for Spearing is absolutely spurious at very best. But anyway, we came through it. We managed to see out the call, and then when Will Cullen comes up with what Joel could only describe as a thunder. I have to pay for this, but comes across him one time. It's just a little bit of traffic going across Muse's eyes, and I think it might be Angeli again, and the puck's in the top corner of the net, and nothing but the deserved 2 points for the Belfast Giants.
Word for Wiss, Joel, back-to-back shutouts at the SSE Arena.
Super. And it's just I added it, Joel. You can come back in this.
No, you're good.
Didn't concede a goal in the whole of October in the SSE in the Odyssey Arena.
That's true.
Quite a stat.
I'll not retread ground that I've been treading the last few weeks, but we're just seeing the very best of Jackson Whistle. He's a player who came to us young and came to us with a great record in the WHL with Kelowna Rockets, and I think he's over sort of the physical issues that he experienced in his early time here in terms of his hips, the problems that he brought along with there, and those kinds of hip issues affect everything. They affect your ability to stay fit, your cardio, and whatever else. I think we're seeing Jackson fulfill his potential right now. I'm delighted that he's back and he's made Belfast his home, and he's deserving of his success right now. And that's also not to take away from Peyton Jones, who also came up big in the past week. Obviously in that shootout. Something that was interesting about this game, just before we move on, Adam Keefe said in post-game, and to be honest, probably after having sat there through the full game, and me not having the same analytical eye, I freely admit that you boys would have, because you're so much older than me. He said that he didn't feel overly threatened throughout the 60 minutes. And he's right, whenever you come away from a 1-0 game where your defenseman finds your winner, Adam Keefe's right there, and it goes to back to what we're saying, that not only did the Glasgow come in with the game plan of essentially parking the bus and trying to catch their chance on the break, which is a very negative style of hockey to play on the road. You see it a lot in teams that maybe don't fancy their chances against us. But also we once again did the right things at the back, and in no small part helped by Jackson Whistle being absolutely outstanding. The Clan essentially, I think, had one major opportunity. Mathieu found Gary Hayden at the back door in the second period, and it was one of the biggest sitters that I've seen this season, and somehow they missed. But apart from that, despite it being that 1-0 scoreline, it was one-way traffic. But yes, Clan came over to play very defensively, and I also think that John Muse is unreal. I'm sorry, I didn't watch the streaming series during lockdown because the Giants weren't in it. Don't care. But he played for Sheffield during that. But I went and had a look at his numbers. This is a guy with 9 years in the AHL, 184 games, 6 years in the ECHL, 100 games. He had a cup of coffee in the KHL. He played 144 in the NCAA. That's a hell of a pickup. Imagine where the Glasgow Clan would be if they'd had him from the start of the season. Do
you know what? Joe, until you mentioned that he was in the streaming series, I didn't even realize he played over here.
Yeah.
No interest.
Yeah. Played for Sheffield.
Like I talked to Sis the other day, and Sis said, with his analytical, with his commentator's eye or his commentator's cap on, Muse is as good as he has seen in the Elite League this season. And there's some good goaltenders in this league this season. Oh, jeepers, turn that off now, Polly.
We'll come back to that. For those watching on YouTube, well, actually, let's just have a quick one. From a infrastructure point of view, the new lighting in the SSE Arena and the introductions and stuff like that. Well, it's just another feather in the cap for the organization and what the arena are able to do. But I thought the build up and all that was just second to none. Joel, you were there.
Just absolutely incredible, proper. Like I rolled into the arena pretty tired on Sunday afternoon. You know, I wasn't exactly pumped up, but by the time that puck dropped, I was good to go. It was absolutely unbelievable. You cannot say enough about. I'd said it even last week whenever we were in the first week of the new LED lighting being installed, and I hope you boys get over soon to see it in real life. It just makes such a difference. It looks like an NHL ice pad now. Just that lighting is spectacular. What they can do with it, and just how Neil Whiteside again blowing it out of the park with the synergy between the light show and the video, the fan participation, the Finn McCool participation. It was like watching the Golden Knights. I tweeted that on Sunday and I meant it. It was proper goosebump stuff. And maybe this is a controversial take, but I like the clap at the end. Don't care.
Not for me.
Fight me.
I'm a grumpy old man.
Yeah,
not for me.
I thought it was cool.
It's, you know, you see it. A lot of clubs are doing it. You know, Sheffield have their Eddies. We see you know, Storm do things like that, Clan do things like that. But it's I'm more of an old fashioned just go around and clap. You know what I mean? or just go, you know, like they do in Germany, just like line up and go to one end and give it the whoa, like that. But it's each to their own. You know, I'm sure a lot of people really enjoy it. It wasn't for me, but from the point of view of the light show and the way that the arena is set up,
spectacular,
absolutely
amazing.
And credit to the organization, credit to the SSE Arena. I know that Robert Fitzpatrick mentioned earlier this season when he joined us that we had a few things up our sleeves for this, and that is obviously one of them, and I'm more part of the elbow for that.
We're very fortunate we have an ownership that invests so much in the match night entertainment, and old grumpy guys like us can't be. We you know, Robert has spoken many times about there was 4,000 on Wednesday night. 1,500 of them are season ticket holders, so you're catering for 2,500 people who may be there for the first time, who may be casuals, who may need to be convinced to come back, and it's all part of the sports entertainment. So you know we'll have to live with that, Paddy, and you know we'll get old disgracefully. But the Causeway clap's grand and all. But I was interested to hear Kevin Rain say, you know, he's still going to have to stick his lap in because there are people, and I've seen it over 20 plus years. There used to be, I can't remember whether the kid was blind or had something else, sat round behind the goal at the boomerang corner end, and Sheds used to do it for years. Mark Morrison did it for years, to go over and tap the glass. And I think that's important, that there's some people almost need that little interaction as well, as little as a tap in the glass. So I think there'll still be players that spin around there and give away, which is, you know, we'll keep everybody happy, Joel, eh?
That's the goal, mate.
Quick side story on that involving a different sport. Went to watch Manchester City play the other week and against Brighton, and one of my mates said, "You wait till the very end."
You got your free tickets.
Well, not who you think. That was previous. Hashtag thanks, coach.
Sorry, Paddy,
but not for this one. But we says you wait to the end, and actually at the end, all the players went off as you expect. End of the Premier League game, City had won 3-1 in the end, and all the players went off except for one, Erling Haaland. And he went. First of all, he spotted a guy with a Norway flag and went beeline to him at the end. Photographs, the works. Then walked all the way around the outside of the pitch, applauding fans, photographs of kids. Basically, that sort of interaction. So everybody had gone except for him, and so maybe it's something from his time at Dortmund and the German interaction with fans and stuff like that. But you could see, and there were ones just down below us. You could see what it meant to these guys to have a guy, you know, that they watch for their team come over, and Erling Haaland, obviously, you know, scoring for fun in the Premier League, but being able to have that interaction at the end of the game and that sort of gratitude from the players to the fans and back again is something that you know, we get it from our sport, and it's something that means the world in every sport. And also, it just made me annoyed. Not only does he score for fun, but he also seems like quite a likable character.
Hate that. Anyway. Hate when they're nice.
but yeah, it's that connection between the fans. It's what makes a club. And you can have a team, you can have fans, you can have an organization. It takes a lot to make a club, and that's one of the elements to it. Right, cracking on, boys. We're over the hour, so we're going to do Player of the Month for October. We've asked people for their nominations, and from those, we've drawn a short list of 4. Let me just pull this up. Number 1, Jackson Whistle. Number 2, Sam Rupp. Number 10, Scott Conway. And your captain, number 64, David Goodwin. The Voting will open on Wednesday morning and continue on until Friday night, and you'll be able to vote on who you believe should be October's Player of the Month, sponsored by Phonacab. Big thanks to Phonacab for sponsoring the award. You can get it at AVFTB on Twitter. Davey, I'll start with you. Who is your choice from that four?
I could make good arguments for probably all of them. I like the spread of a goalie, a D-man, a couple of forwards. I think that out of the four, the shortlist would be Goody and Collins, and probably slightly David Goodwin. 4 man of matches, I think, out of the first 5 league games. But for me, Scott Conway was exceptional last month.
Joe?
Yeah, look, strong shout for all of them, but I'm giving the goalie some love this month. Jackson Witzel playing his absolute best hockey this season. Back-to-back shutouts at the SSE, deserving of it this month, because the rest of them are going to get it eventually.
I think Jackson Whistle's a really good shout for this month. Probably edging it for me, but the other three, especially the Cons and what he's been contributing in that top line. Same with Goody, and then Sam Rupp with in that game in Fife with an assist and the game winning shorty. It shows you how strong defensively we've been, that they're able to be defensively strong and contribute up front as well. Like I say, big thanks to Phonacab for sponsoring the award, and you can start your votes on those from Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock, and hopefully the award will be handed out on Sunday against the Cardiff Devils. Get your votes in before Friday, and big thanks again to Phonacab. Right, Joel, give some news.
Yeah, watch how quick I can do this. Sit back, Davey, just chill out, mate. This past week in the Viaplay, what we saying, by the way?
Viaplay?
Via. We'll talk about that in a second. This past week in the Viaplay Elite League, last Wednesday, the Nottingham Panthers hosted the Glasgow Clan, defeating them 6-2, and the Guildford Flames and Cardiff Devils were all square after regulation at the Spectrum before the Flames found their winner in the 58th second of OT. On Saturday night, boys, it finally happened. It happened. Yeah. The newly Cameronless Glasgow Clan welcomed the Manchester Storm to Braehead, and finally, at the 17th time of asking, got their win with a 3-0 shutout. Nobody defeats the Glasgow Clan 17 times in a row. And the Flames wagon rolled on in Dundee with a 5-0 thrashing at the Stars. On Sunday, the Panthers downed the Devils at home with a 5-2 victory. The Coventry Blaze heaped misery onto the Stars with a 7-2 win at the Sky Dome. The Manchester Storm made it a 0-point weekend with a 6-5 loss to the Fife Flyers at the Drizzle Dome, and the Sheffield Steelers travelled to Guildford, where they took down the Flames 4-3. And in the Viaplay Challenge Cup, which is still happening, 7 different scorers helped the Sheffield Steelers to a 7-3 win over the Panthers in Yorkshire on Saturday evening, and the Cardiff Devils clinched a 3-2 overtime win over the Blaze in Wales. There are stunningly 4 group stage games left, and currently 6 teams have officially qualified for the knockout round. Our good selves, your Belfast Giants, the Fife Flyers, Dundee Stars, Cardiff Devils, Coventry Blaze, and Sheffield Steelers. So 4 more games to go. We wait with bated breath. And more on that Viaplay. It was announced today, actually, that effective immediately, the Premier Sports Elite League will be rebranded as the Viaplay Elite League. This change follows Viaplay's recent acquisition of Premier Sports. They're going to obviously continue to show EHL live games, as well as the rebranded Viaplay Challenge Cup final and the Viaplay playoffs weekend. The first match coming up following the rebranding is on the 9th of November from the Utilita Arena. Sheffield Arena, as the Sheffield Steelers host Coventry Blaze. Playoff finals weekend. Early bird tickets also came out today. If you haven't seen on socials, went on sale this morning. Early bird prices, obviously, we talked to Todd Kelman on this very show a couple of weeks ago about this. They are valid from 1st of November until 11:59 on the 31st of December. So you get your weekend tickets now if you're planning on going this year. Adults are £99, concessions £79, and a family, which is 2 adults and 2 concessions, £338, which still kind of hurts to say. Each of the 10 Elite League teams has been allocated specific blocks as usual. The Elite League say they would like to urge fans to buy tickets in their allocated blocks as quickly as possible to avoid disappointment. Your Belfast Giants are in block number 7, and tickets are on sale directly through the Motorpoint Arena website. Check the EHL site for any more details. And as we mentioned there, last Thursday, the Glasgow Clan confirmed the quote departure of Malcolm Cameron with immediate effect, saying that he joined the Clan ahead of 21-22, and despite a late start to the campaign, led the club to a respectable 6th place. And the Elite Ice Hockey League. However, results in the early part of this season have been very disappointing. The club are now exploring possible options to succeed him and take the clan forward. They say thanks to him, wish him well, wish him future success, and announced that Stephen Dixon's going to take over, assisted by Dyson Stevenson. Interesting that the clan haven't confirmed whether he was fired or he resigned. It feels like one of those by mutual agreement things, which means we're saying on socials to make it look like he was fired, but he's probably got a nice payoff out of his contract. But either way, the Malcolm Cameron era, never to be forgotten. I'm not your news, Patrick Smith.
Who? Thanks, Joel. Right, let me see. We'll crack on and wrap this show up. Obviously, we got 2 games this weekend. Friday at the Cameronless Glasgow Clan away at 7:30 p.m. at the Braehead Arena. You get that on Clan TV if you're not taking the trip over, and then we're back for the first trip to the SSE Arena in the league of the Cardiff Devils Sunday at 4 p.m. Get yourself down on Sunday or follow it with Mr. Kitchen on Giants TV. Any other business? I'm going to start with this one. Let me see. There was, unfortunately, a shirt lost at the arena on Sunday. Robin Gouin just basically saying that it's her dad's shirt. I think this is. It's a one-of-a-kind Kevin Rain game-worn jersey signed on the back on the second 2, and they'd really like it back. So if you've seen this jersey, if you have this jersey, it's get in contact with ourselves or the club or the OSC, and everybody's keeping an eye out for this jersey. It's a one-of-a-kind game-worn Kevin Rain jersey. Davey, anything from you?
Yes, Paddy, stem cells. McKeever's, the chemist, had more people visit the bridge the other week when they were doing their sampling than have visited their shop in 3 months. So Amazing. They are absolutely ecstatic with the uptake from Belfast Giants fans, the fan base that never stops giving. So credit to them. Thank you very much on behalf of everyone that needed that.
Yep. Well, once again, the Belfast Giants fans step up when needed in things like this. So congratulations. Well done to the Giants fans, really, and on what they're doing there. Joel, anything yourself?
Yeah, I got a message just as we came on live tonight from Alan Price, one of the main instigators in Boomerang Corner, just saying that I think the Giants, Oregon, and BC have sort of, I'm not sure if it's some sort of partnership or working together. Either way, they're going to be handing out some. I've seen a draft of it, actually, really nice leaflets around mental health on the bridge this weekend, and to tie in with Movember and to raise awareness to talk about your own mental health, suicide prevention, and if anyone would like to swing by and grab one of those, it's got some really nice resources and some useful stuff on it, and they're going to be on the bridge before the game on Sunday, so swing around and catch them and grab one of those. That's a nice thing to do.
Yep, well done to those. Just goes to show, this it may be a sport to some, but it's part of our lives, and if we can have that sort of reach into helping people and helping people better themselves and look after themselves, then it's fantastic that the Giants can help and do that. So, and the guys at Boomerang Corner, so congratulations to them and well done. Keep up the good work on that. And if that's it, gentlemen, it's getting quite late. It's like the old times, Davey. We're going to wrap things up. Like I said, Glasgow Clan away on Friday, 7:30 p.m. If you're not taking the boat over, get that on Clan TV. And then we are back for the first visit in the league of the Cardiff Devils Sunday at 4 p.m. at the SSE Arena. Davey, what are you going to say?
Next one, we missed one off the agenda. We'll definitely bring next week. Pound for pound, best Belfast Giant heavyweight. We'll talk about it next week. Save it.
I have it here on my agenda list. It'll stay on my agenda list till next week, and I agree with you. And I know what my answer to this is.
Good chat.
But you probably know yours. I think you know your answer to this as well.
Yeah, I know my answer.
Probably the same answer. But yes, those get. And if you can't get down to the SSE Arena on Sunday 4 p.m, Belfast Giants TV. Big thanks to Mark Garside for joining us. Big thanks to everybody who's been following us live and sending in your comments and your questions. We really appreciate it. Big thanks to you two, gents, and have a good week. You can get us at AVFTB on Twitter, on Facebook, on kingdomofthegiants.com. Send us an email, podcast@kingdomofthegiants.com. Get us on Instagram. Haven't done any of the TikToks in a while. I'm not going to. Send us an email. Email, podcast@kingdomofthegiants.com. We never get an email. Send us an email.
I listened. Just before you go, I listened to the very first podcast again there the other day, just when I
Brilliant.
was doing the dishes. And the intro hasn't really changed that much in 17, 18 years, whatever. And it's like send us an email. Now I'm linked. If anybody sends an email to the podcast that comes to my inbox, never get them.
Never get
Oh, send Davey some emails. We'll read out the best ones
send us
next
an
week.
email, read it.
Okay,
We'll have email
do
corner.
you remember we used to have the rant line as well, Paddy? We paid for a phone line for years. Nobody ever rang it either.
No, we had one phone call. We had
Coach
one mysterious phone call.
Convinced it was Coach going.
Convinced it was Neil Russell putting a voice on. To this day. Anyway, yeah, send us an email.
Good times.
And on that, gents, listen, thanks very much for your time. Wherever you are this weekend, we hope you enjoy your hockey, and we'll catch you here next time on A View from the Bridge.
Dashing up against the world to see you rise.